the home of the do-it-yourself trucker. When everything goes wrong, you gotta Redneckanize. Well, all right, everybody. Hey, welcome back. Hey, this is Ed with Redneckanize Radio. And like I said, don't forget, we're live here every Sunday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. You can call in at 516-387-1733 just to listen in, or if you want to be part of the conversation, just hit 1 and we'll get you right in here. Yeah, and don't forget to go check out some of our great sponsors. You know, one of the great sponsors we got, everybody knows who they are because it's DPF Regeneration. DPF Regeneration has been with us from the get-go. They've been a great supporter of Redneckanize ever since we've kind of just became about. And if you guys don't know about DPF Regeneration, you know, they're the ones that can get you the right kind of parts for all of your, you know, regen systems or EGR coolers, catalyst mufflers, SCR units, and they've got all the different types of diesel filters for the particulate filters for all the different size diesel engines. And you can check them out at dpfregeneration.com or give them a call at 800-634-3010. And like I said, don't forget to tell them that you appreciate them for supporting Redneckanize, because we appreciate them for sure. And just get back into things going on out there. You know, I mean, every week on here on this radio show and of course all over YouTube, you hear it. It makes the news pretty much every week. It's driver shortage, and what's going on with that, and you know how it is. Well, you know what we all know out there is that OOIDA, the Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, they don't agree with that assessment. And of course, on their Landline magazine, this July issue, they said, you know, the truth about the driver shortage, and then they had a little in parentheses it says, Psh, hey, there isn't one. And they had a big article about diving into all that. Well, now they've got a pretty good article that came out, and it made the top search results for trucking news, and that rarely happens out of just, you know, because driver shortage, you know, takes the cake whenever it comes to all that. So when you see that this article here from Landline magazine over at landline.com, it says driver retention problem draws focus at Trucking Roundtable. And now instead of driver shortage, it's driver retention. And of course, their big play is that the big companies, they just run the truck drivers off. And, you know, I don't think that's like, you know, what I say is that it's not just black and white. It's not cut and dried. It's that simple. I think that truck drivers are just as much to blame as big companies when it comes to retention and what to expect out there, because, you know, the recruiters may lie to you, but again, when you're looking for a job and you need a job and you talk to a recruiter and he tells you everything's going to be peachy keen, you know, all you got to do is just go out there and ask other truck drivers and they'll tell you the truth. You know, even if some of them, like I remember years back, there were a lot of drivers that were being paid to be recruiters, and I disagreed with them a lot because they would talk up the company, whichever company they worked for, they would just talk them up, how they were the best in the world, and all this, and you'll never go wrong, and you'll always make money and all that. And I don't agree with that even with the best company. I mean, you are going to get screwed over. You're going to get stuck out there on the road somewhere. You know, the truck's going to break down, freight's going to run out. You know, you're going to get somewhere where you can't get a load picked up until the next day or even, you know, through the weekend or whatever. That kind of stuff happens. It's part of trucking. So, for people to promise you stuff and then drivers get upset with that, well, you know, I can't lay blame on anybody for you thinking that doesn't happen. You know, all you gotta do is ask. You know, even back in the day before there was the internet and Facebook and all that, I mean, all you gotta do is walk into a truck stop and sit down and ask some questions, and you'll find out the truth. You know, if you're thinking about becoming a truck driver, go down to find a truck stop where you live and just, you know, there's a lounge or even that there's a restaurant, and just ask questions and try to take notes, because a lot of it's going to start running together. And that's what I've always told new truck drivers. But this article here, what it boils down to is that it says driver retention. And I always thought that it was unique because what they're focusing on how the big carriers treat the drivers. Now it says, after years of persistence from Owner Operator Independent Driver Association, the issue of driver retention took center stage in front of leaders from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the U.S. Department of Labor. On Thursday, July 8th, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, we know Mayor Pete, right? Ran for president, and he wants to spend all kinds of money, all that kind of good stuff. And then, of course, we got Labor Secretary Marty Walsh. I don't know who that is, but he's Labor Secretary now. And the FMCSA's acting administrator, Mira Joshi, hosted a roundtable discussion with trucking industry stakeholders, including OOIDA President Todd Spencer, to discuss driver recruitment and retention. I would like to know who all else was present at this. Was it and then we might find out later. It might have been a conference call or something. But it says, although the American Trucking Association has long framed the issue of driver shortage problem, much of the roundtable discussion focused on large turnover rates of large fleets. For decades, OOIDA has argued that the issue hasn't been an inability to hire long-haul truckers, but rather an inability to keep them around because of low pay and poor working conditions. As part of the discussion, FMCSA noted that the turnover rates for large long-haul carriers are more than 90% and about 72% for small carriers. And see, 72%, that's still high. Driver retention is really fundamental to our supply chain, residually from job stability to overall roadway safety, Joshi said. I'm grateful to the millions of men and women who transport over 70% of our nation's freight across the country on a daily basis. This event is really about their workplace and their work conditions. That was the FMCSA administrator who said that. It says leaky bucket. I don't know what that means. It says Buttigieg said it doesn't matter how many people the industry recruits to be truck drivers if the industry is set up in a way that a majority of them will want to leave. And that's the thing. I mean, it's like all the other jobs out there, the jobs that are like, hard, maybe risky, or they don't pay very well, or they're just crap. It's like, I think that truck driving is a hard job because you'll be away from your family, and especially long haul, and then you got team operations where it's stressful. I think that kind of stuff like that, it's always going to be that way, and it takes a special kind of person, a special kind of people to do that job. So I think that that's part of it. Now, I would also argue that being that it is a hard job and it takes a special kind of person to do that job, those jobs probably should pay pretty good. So that's what it is too. It's I think Buttigieg keeps on saying here, it says, it strikes me that another way to think of it is something of a leaky bucket, that no matter how many people we pour into the industry for a moment, it's not going to do as much good unless the jobs are reliable enough, secure enough, and stable enough that people want to remain within the industry. Buttigieg said that, and he keeps on saying, and hopefully also stay with an individual employer long enough to see some of the safety gains that we know correlate not only with the time behind the wheel, but time in a given organization. And that's true too, because we all love it when, I think trucking companies focus on loyalty, staying with the carrier, staying with them a long time, and you see how the pay packages increase, you get raises, you get more time off, all that kind of stuff. That's the way it's set up, especially the bigger companies. And, if that's something, I'll just be honest with you, a lot of truck drivers don't think of it in that way. They don't think of it as, I work for them 5 years, I'll start making money. It's like, I want money now. A lot of times you got to be with a company 10 years before you start seeing some real money. Or it's not only the money, it's that if you're with a company long enough, not only do you start making more money, but you get to pick the runs, you get to do, you can pick what you want to do, you can take the easy job, leave the crap job to the new guys, that kind of thing. So that's one of the things I think truck drivers have a hard time focusing on, and less of them are focusing on that. The industry stakeholders include representatives from such group as OOIDA, ATA, and the Teamsters, as well as safety advocates and academic experts. Yeah, safety advocates. Or even like those people that represent those organizations that want to shut us down and let us only drive 6 to 8 hours a day, or force us to only drive 50 hours a week instead of 70. Those kind of safety organizations. It doesn't list them here, so we'll find out. It says much of the discussion focused on the idea that better pay and working conditions would keep more drivers around and ultimately increase highway safety. It says pay and working conditions. It says, let's see who says this. This is Todd Spencer speaking. He says, trucking is a tough life, said Spencer, who started his career as a trucker and still holds a commercial driver's license. It demands the best and it requires the best. As we learned during the pandemic, trucking is an essential industry, but it is every single day. It's always essential. And the issues now with retention, every employer in the country has it right now. The secret is pay, benefits, and working conditions. He's not wrong there. That's the secret. I think working conditions. I think trusting a driver's judgment a lot. That's always an issue. A lot of times drivers burn their trust. A lot of times drivers they don't feel that they're trusted enough. I think that comes with time in too. You're not going to just go work for a company and two days or 2 weeks into it, they're going to trust everything you say. You got to build that trust. So I would say to truck drivers, if you want to be trusted more, stick with carriers. Stick with the carrier. Find a carrier that you can work with and build their trust. That's what I'll say. It says currently truck drivers' pay and working conditions aren't great, Spencer said. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary of a truck driver was $47,130 in 2020, while that is well above the U.S. median personal income of $35,977. It seems like much less when you consider the amount of hours truckers work and that they often do so without being able to return home for weeks at a time. It says, I should point out that for a truck driver, this is not a 40-hour work week, Spencer said. It's generally 60, 70, 80 hours and sometimes more of actual work. And then there's more time that goes along with it. So yeah, it's a very, very demanding job. And realistically, the economic rewards haven't kept up for the last 40 years since our industry was deregulated. And you know, it seems like having them catch up is a very, very elusive goal. Your pay is determined by what you can be replaced for. And right now, that's not a lot. That's not all that much money. So when he says this kind of stuff, when he says like that, you know, it's not a 40-hour week. It's not a 40-hour work week. It is generally 60, 70, 80. The scary part about that is what these politicians and bureaucrats read into that is that we'll just make it a 40-hour work week. We'll demand that it is a 40-hour work week. We'll require. It's a regulation that you cannot work more than 40 hours because that's what these safety advocates want. The problem is that the pay will go down because you know a carrier is not going to pay you the amount of money that you think you deserve by only working 40 hours a week. That's just not how it's going to be. You know, I remember one time I had a conversation with somebody and they were like, you know, the truth of the matter is that milk should cost $15 a gallon because you need to pay to have it shipped. Mayonnaise should cost $10 a jar because of the price it costs to ship it, but nobody's going to pay that. So you're never going to see that kind of wage increase for truck drivers because people they're just not going to pay it. And that's why you see, I mean, I don't know if people know it out there, but trucking companies, they really don't make that high of a profit margin. They don't. So that kind of thing is you know, it's hard to get out of that with the 40-hour work week. You know, you spell that out for them, and then those bureaucrats just say, well, we'll just make it a 40-hour work week. We'll just require it, or we'll change the rules and force them to pay overtime, or you know, all that. And that's what OOIDA wants. They want, you know, Teamsters. They all want that. They want companies to be forced to pay you to like detention time or you know any kind of extra time you were out on the road. They want the government to force these companies to pay that. And I don't like that. I don't like companies being forced to. You know, if a good company has good customers and treats their drivers right, they're going to come up with solutions. They're going to pay their drivers well, and as long as you let it be flexible, the good companies are going to come out on top. And when you force it all, it doesn't. Then no company is better than the other. It says Steve Viscelli, a professor of sociology at the University of Pennsylvania and author of The Big Rig: Trucking and the Decline of the American Dream, said the solution is clear. We need to improve the quality of existing trucking jobs. He also says we have to ensure that all driver time is counted and well compensated, and then that drivers are properly classified in the end. What we need to do is promote the retention of experienced safe drivers. Again, that right there. The solution is easy. We need to improve the quality of existing trucking jobs. Duh. You know, I mean, I don't need a college degree to figure that out. It says we have to ensure that all driver time is counted and well compensated. Okay. What are you going to do? You see, you're going to write a law and you're going to make things required. And the next thing you know, it's not going to be what we wanted. It's not going to be what the driver wanted. And then if you're a go-getter, if you're one of those drivers that busts ass and makes more money than the other drivers because you bust ass, well, guess what? Your busting ass don't mean anything anymore. Just like having a union job when everybody's required to be paid the same in the same form in the same manner. So it says the largest problem involves entry-level trucking jobs where the pay is often the lowest and the conditions are the worst, Viscelli said. Our current driver pipeline is organized backward, he said. It throws workers into the deep end with almost no support. They start out in schools and with little investment in their long-term success, and then most of them can only get to the toughest jobs working over the road for weeks or months at a time without the system's promise free training, but then lock workers into a year of working 80 or more hours per week, often for minimum wage or less. Well, yeah, these companies, what they do, well, just like we said before, if you're a driver that's been with a carrier for a longer period of time, then what you do is you start being trusted and you start being given preferred treatment, and that means you're going to take the easier runs. If you had a choice, I'm going to take the shorter runs, the more paying runs, and give all the crap to the rookies. Well, and they're saying that's a problem. Now, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to write a rule saying that the crap jobs that the rookies can't do those jobs. I mean, then what? You know. So then in order to get the 10-year vet driver to take those crap jobs, you're going to have to pay them more to take the crap jobs. So So, you know, so then okay, pay goes up, but then what? You know, then you're there. To me, that would just mean that the entry level pay would have to go down, because if a new driver comes in, he's already making a low rate, and then now you're going to like require that he take the easier runs because he's not supposed to be able to handle the tougher runs. Well, then, you know, that pay that you're paying that driver is going to have to go to the 10-year vet driver, so that the 10-year vet driver will handle the crap runs. It says the U.S. Department of Transportation and FMCSA said it will continue to engage regularly with industry stakeholders to address driver retention and other issues in the trucking industry. So there's certainly more work to do, and that will be determined, or that will be detailed, complex, painstaking, Joshi said. I'm not going to say that there's a magic wand. There certainly isn't. Somebody would have waved it by now. I guess this is just them talking. It says, but we are committed to do that work regardless of the difficult and challenging as it is. And there you go. That's it. So, yeah, no solutions. Just bureaucrats blowing smoke, you know. So, but again, I mean, I like where they're heading with bringing the problem of retention with working conditions, you know, proper equipment and facilities. I just think facilities. I think everybody knows. I think all the truckers out there can agree that when you send drivers to these shippers and they don't let you use the bathroom, or you're locked in a cage so that they can load you and all that stuff, you know, all that crap's got to stop. You know, that's just got to stop. I think that they're probably going to be forced to have to create some type of driver's lounges in the areas where they have to wait like that. I just, you know, I mean, and it's, you know, so what? I got to pay $1.50 for a Dr. Pepper, or, you know, $2 for a bag of chips in a waiting room that I have to wait in. I mean, that's fine, as long as I have a waiting room where there's a clean restroom, maybe even a place where I can, you know, plug in my phone and charge, or get some good internet or something like that. Just a place, you know, a good safe haven, call it what you will, for drivers to be able to relax while they're waiting. And that's one of the issues. But that's the kind of thing that I think is important with that. But, you know, hey, tell me what you think. So, like I said, we'll get this out there to everybody and check it out, and everybody online can see it, and we'll share the article and everything. But yeah, tell them what you think. You think driver retention isn't really that big of a deal? Drivers need to suck it up, or do you want the laws to change? You want laws to mandate that the truckers, or that the companies take care of the truckers? You know, you want it mandated. So let me know. But yeah, we're just kicking back here. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find all those links over on redneckanize.com. That's our website. And we're just trucking back here. So yeah, keep calling in, 516-387. And I'm Ed with Redneckanize Radio. Here we go.
I got a jingle in my jeans, some places in between, and I'm leaving old Salt Lake with a